Hi everybody, it's Peter Bird here from Optimal Nutritional Excellence. Really nice to see you. Just checking in today. I want to have a wee conversation about our food system. We live in a broken food system, and what I mean by that is that often it's driven more by profit than health. I have a wee bit of a chat today about ultra-processed foods. What are ultra-processed foods? Do we need to be concerned about ultra-processed foods? Are ultra-processed foods good for our health? Or are they primarily good for the profit of the business that's producing them? These are all very good questions, and our supermarkets are predominantly made up of ultra-processed foods. 60 to 70% of foods that are in our supermarket are ultra-processed. The majority of bread that you'd buy in the supermarket is classed as ultra-processed. So let's start off with what is ultra-processed. What is a definition, if you like, a very simple definition of an ultra-processed food. If you look at the ingredient list on your food packaging, so, for example, your loaf of bread or any food item that you may buy in a supermarket or a food outlet, you will find an ingredient list. Now, that by law has to be there. And in that ingredients list, if you are looking through it and you see items there that you would not find in your kitchen, that'll be an ultra-processed food. So they may be numbers. There might be numbers beside a rather long name. Those numbers correspond to that particular additive, and if you look that up, it will give you more information about that particular additive. In Australia and New Zealand and the EU, European Union, so that's England and Europe, we have in the range of 350, 340 approved food additives, and so you may see an E beside those numbers, or you may see the number just on its own, and it can be very confusing. And for most of us, unless you've got some food scientist degree or are really interested in this area, it will be confusing. What we know is that this is an area that is still under a lot of research and needs to be researched much further in relation to the effects of ultra-processed food on our health. What the evidence is starting to indicate is that there is an effect with high levels of intake of ultra-processed food. Now let's be clear, we're consuming somewhere in the range of 55 to 60% ultra-processed foods in our diet. Our children, our young population, their rates of ingesting or eating ultra-processed food is even higher than that. So what the emerging information, the science is starting to indicate is that it has a negative effect on our microbiome. So if you're not sure or haven't heard that term microbiome, do a little bit of research. We have in the kind of ballpark of somewhere between 37 and 40 trillion microbiome bacteria that live in our gut, our large bowel. That is the kind of like the Amazon jungle, if you like, inside us. That is the furnace for health for our body. So that produces all the energy, that runs all our systems, produces the anti-cancer and the anti-inflammatories, and the 70% of our immunity system is in our gut. Our happy hormone, serotonin, we've got 90% of serotonin is produced in our gut, 50% of dopamine. There's a lot going on down that area that we weren't really aware of, a decade or two ago. So that's where the emerging science is focusing. There's a lot of studying going on in the microbiome. And for example, there's one of the groups of additives called emulsifiers. Now, what does emulsifiers do? What an emulsifier does, when you open up, for example, a container of yogurt, you look at the yogurt and it's all nice and mixed in and smooth and very pretty looking. That's because of emulsification. That's because of an emulsifier. It ensures that that a food product is mixed well and stays mixed. If you didn't have an emulsifier, if we use the yogurt as an example, you'd open up the yogurt container and there'd be a level of water on the top, or clear fluid on the top, and then yogurt mix. That's because the products have separated. Now, an emulsifier stops that from happening. What the indications are is when we have a diet that is high in ultra-processed foods, we have a diet then that it's high in emulsifiers. Rather than allowing fats and water to separate out, what it does is it causes that mixing of those two. The indications are that it disrupts our microbiome. And if it's disrupting our microbiome, or we have dysfunction in that area, it's called dysbiosis. It's just a fancy word meaning that our gut is out of balance. Then that has a flow-on effect to our health. We don't know as yet the long-term effects of a diet that's high in ultra-processed foods, but it makes sense, doesn't it, that if you take a food and strip out its nutrients and you add in predominantly chemically created ultra-processed or additives and create an ultra-processed product, then that isn't going to be particularly health promoting. Mostly ultra-processed foods are designed to allow a food company that's producing them to make profit. It doesn't have a hell of a lot to do about your health. In fact, very, very little to do with your health. It's more about creating shelf life. It's more about creating a product that looks good, that tastes good, that has got flavor enhancers in it, etc., etc. So just be aware that the ideal is to reduce down the amount of ultra-processed foods and increase your whole foods. And whole foods are foods like your fruit, your vegetables, your leafy greens, your nuts, your seeds, or legumes, your mushrooms, your whole grains, all those types of foods. And what we know is that the body works best on those. So it's just a wee check-in from me today. I want to let you know that I am in the developmental stages of producing an app. It's an app that you can go into the supermarket, go into a food outlet, and you can take a photograph of the nutritional label, and it will give you a traffic light system of green, amber, or red, depending on the additives that are in that food. And it'll give you a clear indication, a really simple indication of that's a healthy product that you're eating. And it'll also give you options if you find that this particular food item that you're looking at, it has a red traffic light. It'll be able to give you options of foods that are similar or the same as that food item you're looking at, that it's a healthier option. And over the next few weeks, few months, that there'll be an increasing amount of information coming out about that. So that's from me. It's really nice to see you as always. And I look forward to your comments. If you like this vlog, please subscribe and like and share the links and let your friends, colleagues and family know about this vlog. Great to see you as always. Catch you again soon.